We've had our fair share of Olympians fight in the UFC, mostly coming from wrestling like Henry Cejudo, Daniel Cormier, Ben Askren. We've also had a judoka in Ronda Rousey, but Taekwondo. It's not every day you get a real top of the food chain Taekwondo competitor that transfers to MMA. In fact, today most people see Taekwondo as a complete joke. If you walked up to a random person on the street and told them, I do Taekwondo, they're going to start projectile vomiting everywhere induced by laughter. I mean, that is just the last thing you want to tell people if you want to be taken seriously. Taekwondo is kind of like the Aquaman of martial arts. But I know what you're thinking. What about Aikido? Well, look, at least Aquaman is still part of the Justice League. He's still on the team. Aikido isn't even on the team. So if anything, I'm complimenting Taekwondo. But change may be on our horizons because the UFC just signed this 6'7", 85-inch reach Olympic Taekwondo bronze medalist Robelis Despaigne. I don't even want to try that one. Despaigne. Despaigne. Oh, God, I'm embarrassed. Anyway, this guy is an absolute monster. He made his pro MMA debut in 2022 and is now 4-0, and not a single fight he's had has gone longer than 20 seconds. His fights are so short that there's almost not even that much we can take away from it other than the fact that he is an absolute unit with an insane amount of power. But I'll tell you where we can make some reads about this guy. For those who don't know, I was awarded my second degree black belt in Taekwondo when I was 11 years old. So this is sort of my area of expertise. So I watched some of his Taekwondo matches, and man, he is legit. Now, I will preface, I only got through about a match and a half because Jesus Christ, Taekwondo is so boring to watch. Essentially, in sport Taekwondo, the goal is if you land a kick on your opponent's head, you get 3 points. If you land a kick to the body, you get 1 point. And that's just a bare bones synopsis. Now, if you were to look up on YouTube Taekwondo knockouts, you're going to come across some pretty gnarly, like jumping, spinning wheel kick KOs, which are pretty cool to see. But if you actually just watch a Taekwondo match, it's very pitter-pattery. I mean, why try to dedicate so much force and energy to ending the match when you could just stack up on points, which is the much more safe and efficient option? But I'll tell you, one thing these Taekwondo guys are so good at is sneaking in head kicks so quickly as you're trying to move in on them. You see, in Muay Thai, your kicks have a wind-up. They go all the way around to deliver as much force as possible, which is great when you're attacking the legs or the body, because you need a lot of force to really hurt somebody with a kick like that. But you don't need nearly as much force to finish somebody with a head kick. You see the way Robelis throws his high kicks? Instead of coming all the way around with the kick, which is very telegraphed and people are going to see coming, he brings his knee straight up, chambering the kick, and then he just flicks his leg, catching the guy coming in. A perfect example of this style of kicking in MMA was when Rose Namajunas knocked out Zhang Wei Li with a high kick. She used her lead leg to come right up the middle, which is a lot harder to see than coming all the way around. And this guy is at a level of specialization with this style of kicking that we've never seen anybody else with it in the octagon. The thing that makes this guy so interesting, one, he's at heavyweight. If he was at any other weight class, I'd say, oh, it's going to be tough for you to really make it in the UFC. But at heavyweight, dealing with a lot of guys who rely on power, they're going to have to find a way to close the distance with him. At 6'7" with an 85-inch reach, that's a very scary proposition to do. There will not be another fighter in the UFC at heavyweight who has the kicking proficiency this guy does. The second you move into range, you are in serious, constant danger of getting head kicked. Especially if he opens up with some body kicks, a few leg kicks. It's going to be extremely difficult to read where his kicks are going. Combine that with the amount of power this guy has, and you've got a real problem at heavyweight. The only question is is he going to rely on that power, or is he really going to work to develop his other MMA skills? Because the thing is, he's already 35 years old, which for heavyweight standards, he's not too old, but the clock is ticking on how far he can develop his wrestling. If I'm his coach, I'm not teaching him any jiu-jitsu. That ship has sailed. What he needs to worry about is guys shooting from halfway across the octagon because they don't want to stand with this guy at all. So as long as he has some ability to defend takedowns and somewhat of an ability to get up after getting taken down, I think he can be a real problem. Now, the thing is, the heavyweight division just continues to get more and more well-rounded as the years go on. You have to admit, the skill gap between Robelis and Tom Aspinall, that's a pretty big gap. But at the same time, you've got guys like Jailton Almeida, who's really a 205er, but he's dominating right now at heavyweight purely because he has an all-around skill set. So you'd be crazy to think Robelis does not have a chance to rise the rankings, and I am waiting very eagerly for his UFC debut.